Hello, good evening. This is Andrew Foss, and I'm on the line tonight with Laura Walker as we look into the next new moon phase that's going to be starting on September 9th, which is a Sunday. Today is Thursday evening, September 6th, and we thought we'd get together and kind of introduce the new moon phase. And with that, here's Laura Walker.
Hi, Andrew. Thanks for joining me so late at night after your very long day as a dad.
Oh, are you kidding? This is not late at night. Late at night is sometime around 1 or 2, and I don't usually make it quite that late, but I'm usually not in bed before midnight either.
Yeah. I don't know how you do it. You know, it's a black moon day today. We're in a black moon period right now as we enter into the new moon in Virgo. So we're in the balsamic cycle. And we are coming in hot on this new moon, coming in hot from the Leo cycle into the Virgo cycle on Sunday. And we're in black moon time until that time. Before we were talking, Andrew mentioned a story, and I thought maybe we would talk about that because it's really indicative of how we're entering into the Virgo cycle. So, Andrew, do you want to tell everyone about your evening?
And as we got on the phone and we were talking, I was just talking kind of about a downtime. I went to meet the teacher for my third grader. And the teacher was talking about his family and letting us know who he was, and he mentioned about the fact that he had lost a child a few years back. The child was stillborn, and it kind of really, really affected his life. And I was sitting there listening to the story and having to wipe my eyes and cry because, of course, last year, and I'm not sure how many people within the Oracle report know, but we had lost a child as well. A child that we were fostering had left us, and you know, for it was a child that we had brought out of the hospital and been with us for 2.5 years, and it just it hit us like a ton of bricks. It was truly a loss, but then. It's now a year and a half later, and that little kind of story can hit you. And, hey, lo and behold, guess what the black moon's doing to us today?
Yes, and this is as we're entering into the Virgo cycle. The Virgo cycle is going to be heavily dominated by the Chiron energy. And Chiron is the planet that rules Virgo, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So as we enter into this balsamic moon phase, which prepares us for the next month, different things are coming up right as we prepare to enter into this new moon, this new month, the new cycle, that are going to trigger probably some kind of wounding from the past, because that's what Chiron does. It triggers some wounding because the energetic of the upcoming cycle, the upcoming month, is designed to produce massive healing with wounds and to bring us wisdom. Okay, this is a key element of this cycle and what the higher energetics are trying to do with this astrology. Okay, so Andrew had it's a black moon day for everyone. So it brings out, places and things, places where we've been hurt and our fears and things like this. And it's kind of out of the blue. So you wouldn't really think you're going to meet the teacher, that the teacher's going to tell you like they're, one of their greatest periods of grief. And yeah, I was a teacher, and it's really not something I would have done because it's not about me, and it wasn't about him, and it should have been about the kids. So, okay, so you're getting key insight into the psyche of the teacher, and where his wounding is. And so we're seeing people's wounding, and if they have experienced over this cycle that's ending, okay, over the Leo cycle, which was ruled by the Sabian symbol of a houseboat party, which has been about unmooring, unanchoring from things, splitting off, groups splitting off. We had talked, I guess it was about at the full moon, we talked about, how people were really mentally and, emotionally having difficulty processing everything that was happening. It was making some people really go into states and fits of madness that we just are continuing to see. And and the auctioneer in Congress yesterday, I mean, just nuts. I mean, it's just like, yeah, you're seeing it.
I mean, as we were also talking, and I just have not been able to keep my eyes off of this whole spectacle with the Supreme Court nominee and just how completely unhinged everything has gotten. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that they allowed a peanut gallery in Congress. I remember when I went into, back when I would have been back about 1989 when I went to Washington, D.C. And visited the first time. I remember we got access into the House of Congress, and you had great big signs and no thought whatsoever of even opening your mouth, let alone tripping or shuffling or making a noise, and now people are standing up and screaming and yelling at the congressman, and it's being allowed. That I just don't get.
Yes. Well, that's that whole division to have us divided in some parts of extreme elements of the two polarities of the spectrum, of the political spectrum. So, but we talked about how that unmooring, that unhinging, was coming with that Sabian symbol of a houseboat party. But to me, in my view, at the end of the cycle now, really what has happened is that the system is what has become unmoored. The system is going off the deep end here, and certainly Mueller has, and his, whatever you want to call it. Most people are calling it the witch hunt, but he definitely
the crazy cabal.
Yeah, just the attempt to overthrow this administration. They suffered great losses this month in my view. So we talked about how this was if you caught the last recording Andrew and I did, and a lot of people are having trouble on BitChute and real.video. And I hope that'll get worked out and people are going to be able to access it more, but I digress. We talked about where, it was a look ahead, the bird's eye view. Where is this all going so that we can practice the skill, we can put into action the skill that we've been practicing for 10 years for some people who've been following Oracle Report for this long. And so that's the skill of being the wise owl in the tree, the wise old owl in the tree. And so we're coming to a grounded place, and we observe what's going on, and we take action when, fly out to take action to birth second renaissance, to self-actualize, to bring forward when the time is right. And that we also discussed how the Sabian symbols showed us for the new moons where this was all going. So we knew that the houseboat party was this Leo cycle. The Virgo cycle that begins on September 9th, the Sabian symbol is two girls playing with a Ouija board. Park that for a moment. And then the Libra cycle, which comes in overnight on October 8th and 9th, it comes in a little after midnight, I believe, on the 9th in Eastern time. It is after a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. So Libra cycle, it's the middle of the year, of the astrological year, which means it's like the full moon month of the year. It's like a month-long full moon. And that we pivot on these cardinal times, the Cancer cycle and then the Libra cycle. This is when we just, the cycles build to those cardinal points. So we're in the build mode, again, this cycle, towards, after a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. That means we had the houseboat party, so the boat took off during the Leo cycle. And so, and in my estimation, that was further divide and conquer, but more importantly, defeat in certain ways for the cabal. And now we have the Ouija board, one, and then we will come to the after storm. The boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. So the boat landing will be deconstructed this month, this Virgo cycle, and build the closer we get to that Libra new moon on October 9th. And then that month, that Libra cycle, which is always the October surprises. Okay, so when we follow it out, when we carry it on out, we remember that as this year ends, we then go into the new year in April, new moon in Aries, and this is the 2019 year that's going to take us through this 2015 to 2020 transition into Age of Aquarius, for the sake, just for to be brief about it. Okay, and the year next year, what we're going to be dealing with is two fairies dancing in the setting sun, and then the year after that is a triangle with wings. And so this is all about the fall of the system, and this is the way that higher level forces, spiritual forces, are using the science of the tones of astrology to redirect the course of history. And this month especially is a month where spiritual forces are what is in control here. Okay, so let's now return. Now we've looked ahead and we all remember where we're going. We're keeping it real and keeping it grounded while everything is unhinged. We are not, because we know that's not what's really happening. Okay, that does not mean that there aren't serious things that are imminent, and I've broken down those when those dates are that we'll go over and we'll be able to prepare for. Okay, so this Virgo cycle, September 9th, comes in at 2 p.m. at 17 degrees Virgo 00 minutes, which is 18 degrees of Virgo in the Sabian symbols. Now, we're just coming in when this new moon, we've just come in off of Saturn stationing direct. Okay, so it's no longer retrograde, which is a great thing, because now all the things, the structures that Saturn was trying to degrade will now come into a new structure. It's a restructuring time. So, and we just came off of Mars retrograde, which was about energy and what we put our focus and our mind energy and our physical energy into. Okay, so we've had these clean sweeps of our energy and the way we structure things and what we do with our time.
Okay, just for the astrologers, Mars came direct. Do you know what degree that came direct at?
Yes, 29, I think it was 30 Capricorn, because it's still there. Okay. And it's directors of a large firm meet in secret conference. Okay, so that was all of the stuff about when they meet in secret conference, like Google and Twitter and all the heads of that on their little Sunday evening conferences. Yep. Okay, so what we've seen is how Silicon Valley has been used as a front for the cabal and the minions to to counter any kind of opposition to their agenda. Exactly. It is truly, look at us, this is where we're going to control you. Right, and they're all just puppets, because it's far beyond that. Now this new moon, as we mentioned, comes in on 9/9/18, which is 3 9s, which is also 3 6s. Okay, the fact that the Sabian symbol is 18, which is 9, Virgo, two girls playing with a Ouija board. We have very, very high potential for a false flag this month, or probably early on in the month. Usually those will happen on the night before, the eve of the new moon, or during the first 4 days of the new cycle. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying the conditions are right for it. Now, in the Mayan calendar, the Mayan sacred calendar, which is the calendar of the sun, that is basically the receiver of emanations from the galactic center. That's one thing I've kind of failed to discuss, is that the tones and the system of the Solkin, the Mayan sacred calendar, the 260-day calendar, is based on galactic tones, galactic sounds. So for the new moon, the Mayan day sign, the Mayan tone is 12, and the sign is star, also known as rabbit. So it's 12 star, 12 rabbit. Now, 12, I'm going to read directly from Mayan Magics what 12 star, and that's really the only place I recommend that you do the Tzolk'in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting because Ian Lungold, whose work MayanMagics.com, Mayan MAJIX Magics.com is based on the work of Ian Lungold and his love of this calendar and all the love that he brought forth with it. Mm-hmm. He passed away on 12 star, and my teacher, my Mayan calendar teacher, called 12 star the stopping point in the march of time, and noted that it's very powerful Venus energy that's related to this, and to not offend the goddess. And that was his advice for 12 star. It also, 12 star was the beginning, was the day that we began solar cycle 24, and that was in January of 2007. It began on 12 star. Mm-hmm. So 12 is understanding, and it's the ability to retrospect and to bring everything together and network before the ascension. 13 is the highest number, and that's completion, ascension. Star is, quote, star energy is multiplication of all things to abundance. Mm-hmm. Star has been associated with the fertility of rabbits for its ability to multiply. As each sun in the sky, star persons shine equally in all directions. This natural tendency of harmony and balance can become compulsion, motivating star to be too agreeable and too generous. Rejected gifts cause fear and resentment. When a star believes it has given too much, they are weakened or may even collapse. In this black hole state, stars are prone to verbal jousting and arguing to force their point of view on everyone. Okay, so that gives you an idea of one of the overarching themes that will develop all month long. It's all going to be based on 12 star, multiplication and abundance. That's echoed in the astrology, the regular Western astrology, because Jupiter is in sextile to the new moon. And this means that things will go out of bounds and not have limits. They'll just easily go much further than you anticipate. So it's also good that whatever we are putting out there, mm-hmm. You want to make sure you're putting out there, you know what you're putting out there, because it's gonna multiply. So we want that to be, high intention, right? So we need to be walking the line. Also, Neptune is in opposition to the new moon. This can bring confusion or clarity. People can vacillate between the two of those. But it's the full effects of spirit. Remember, oppositions are like full moons. They bring the fullest, everything, the fullest point to things. This is going to be with direction. That's what we're going to be getting, this infusion from spirit. Remember I said that this was a gibbous month. This month is like a month-long gibbous moon phase. Mm-hmm. Gibbous phase is one of the two most, quote, spiritual phases of the month, or cycles of the year, months of the year, because gibbous is the moon phase right before the full moon, and it's the time when we are asked to trust. Trust is the most important thing with gibbous, because gibbous has this power of the mind to just manifest very, very quickly and produce miracles, things that come just out of thin air. And it's just like we have a much closer connection to spirit during the gibbous cycles or gibbous moon phases. The other one is balsamic. Mm-hmm. That's the other one. So we're going to have the full effects of spirit coming in. Now, At the time of the new moon, the black moon is going to be an exact conjunction with the south node. So the black moon is the shadow side and also represents rebirth. The south node is the past. This means what was done in the dark is brought to the light. Under this is a massive conjunction that we have here happening at the new moon. It's such a tight conjunction. And then we're going to come into the aspects for this month that have the major Chiron effects, the flavors of Chiron. At the time of the new moon, Venus will be opposite Uranus. Okay, that brings surprises, that brings issues and headlines with money, also things with love and about the heart. But and I'm going to break down when the days are, that because that's happening over a few days. I'm going to break that down.
Okay.
What it is those two planets are at the Chiron point. One's conjunct Uranus, and the other is opposite, Venus in Scorpio, just entered Scorpio. So this is what I was talking about the wounding that's kind of loading in right now, as we're in this balsamic phase, because it's kind of like edging in that energy, because it's going to try to help us to heal or move to a different state of understanding about those things. And so for you're seeing data right now of, Chiron is like an arrow to the heart.
Yeah.
And with Uranus, it comes out of the blue. Like we said, it was kind of the last thing you'd expect for that.
Mm-hmm.
So this wounding is coming out. We want to be aware also that with the Chiron point, suicide is always heightened. Okay, so we might see more of that, just as we did when Uranus entered Taurus, when it began its discharge of the Chiron point, and suicide rates have just skyrocketed. Now, Chiron itself is at the Aries point, and that means the first degree of the zodiac, the beginning. This is a key it's one of the key degrees of the zodiac. It's a critical degree. With Chiron at this degree, 1 Aries, and Chiron is retrograding back to this. It's already been there, now it's coming back again. This continues new rounds, new cycles of healing. It's a 50-year cycle. And so it also has to do with mastery and the innovation and the invention of new things. And so this is a huge part of Second Renaissance, because remember, everyone, as we're seeing the Kali Yuga end, we're seeing the Satya Yuga begin. It's just, we're in this 5-year transition of the two happening, and just, in this flux between each other.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is it's a massive healing. Now, let's look at the Sabian symbols, specifically for the Virgo cycle. 2 girls playing with a Ouija board.
Yes.
Okay, so this is not to worry, because this is really the administration of the fall of tyranny and an interruption of Satanism, because just like the houseboat party for the Leo cycle showed us that no, it really wasn't we the people who really came on board. It's really those the New World Order that really was suffering chips here and there, and then it has been lashing out. And so 2 girls playing with the Ouija board is well, we talked about it. It's never a good thing. Don't do it. It's not at all recommended. But what we have is the Mahavidya, the wisdom goddess Shadashi, on duty for a Virgo cycle, like she is every year. But this time, she has her pal, her sidekick, her administrator, Matangi. Within this instruction and study of the Mahavidyas, they are represented as either 3 of them working together, Kali, Tara, and Shadashi, or 2 of them, Shadashi and Matangi. Shadashi Matangi is always usually in the background working when Shadashi is doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So Shadashi is, in my instruction with the Mahavidyas, my understanding is that Shadashi is the Mahavidya, the goddess of beauty, and the goddess who aligns us with our highest and best. And or, in other words, she gives us the direction that we need, just like a beautiful vein of in marble.
Mm-hmm.
We have both of them. So we don't have two girls playing with a Ouija board. We have two wisdom goddesses closing the portal in a large way for that transmission of all that satanic Luciferian activity that's weaving in and out of the gate on the earth. What we will see is an interruption of the Satanism, stopping point in the march of time. Things are going to be outed even more this month, I believe, to show us the level of just how deep the satanic rabbit hole goes, how well integrated it is into world government,
Mm-hmm.
And the players on the chessboard, because they're in fall. Okay, and this isn't going to be this win for the Illuminati this month. Okay, you would think two girls playing with a Ouija board would favor the Illuminati because they live for that crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just love that crap.
Oh yeah.
They love astrology. They use the science of astrology, and they've taken that, and that's, we have this knowledge, and then they base everything they do on it, and because it's true and it works. But now we don't have that anymore. We have the counter effect of that. I'm sorry, Andrew, I interrupted you.
Oh, quite. No, I was listening to you, and then I've got a humorous comment.
You have a what?
I'll have a humorous comment.
Oh, I was finished. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was thinking of this meme that I saw on Facebook over the past couple days, and it was done in Southern drawl. It said something on the order of, "Why y'all getting pissed off at some guys that won't stand for the flag when you don't get equally pissed off at the Catholic Church fucking your kids?"
Wow.
And that kind of says it. It's like, hey, hey, Illuminati, what are you doing, and why haven't people woken up to it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the Anons, the autists, are the ones leading the charge. That's where all of that is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
This leads into this Sabian symbol for where the Earth is. Mm-hmm. The Earth is that 18 Pisces at the new moon. In a huge tent, a famous revivalist conducts his meeting with a spectacular performance. So this is religion, and with this again. But if you remember back, Trump was really working this energetic. I've mentioned this several times. That when he was campaigning, this energetic was strongly in effect with Neptune, and he just owned it. We want to pay real close attention to what he says around the new moon, the day before, the day of, and 3 days afterward, because it's going to show where he's going and how he's going to direct where we're headed as far as where the U.S. is heading. I did look at his chart, and I'll go to that in a minute. Mercury is at the Sabian symbol of 7, Virgo. Mercury rules information and communication, and that Sabian symbol is a harem, which of course leads us to think about trafficking. I think we will see more women rising up to speak about this, information about and how the trafficking is spreading. Some of the Anons have tracked what they believe is the route in Arkansas through Mena and Little Rock and all of that. So, like that, again, direction, okay? So, they're on it. They're just pulling everything out about it. So
last month it was Allentown. Well, let's see what happens in Little Rock.
Yeah. Venus will be again at 1 degree of Scorpio, and it's opposite the Chiron point. It's at a sightseeing bus filled with tourists. Because we do have the Venus opposite Uranus at the time of the new moon, this is kind of gives a little bit of an edge over to a false flag possibility. Mm-hmm. Mars is at 30 Capricorn. An Indian chief claims power from the assembled tribe. We'll see power struggles for sure. Mm-hmm. We're already seeing that in the balsamic phase. Yeah. Things are gearing up big time within the Mueller's special counsel deal. Mm-hmm. But this also at the interpersonal level is about our inner power and claiming our inner power, our inner Indian chief, claiming our sovereignty. So you might find it's Mars, and so especially around the time of the new moon, there are a lot of things that are kind of aggressive, and you might have to kind of stand your ground a little bit. Jupiter is at 19 Scorpio. Jupiter, as I said, expands everything. And so it's at a parrot listening and then talking, repeats a conversation he has overheard. So this is the mass spread of information of some sort. We should expect to see, something big with information and that causes everybody to chatter. Okay, so you can see if you were Illuminati, you were planning out a false flag, you can see a lot of elements already where you could put that in place. Saturn, which is in trine to the Chiron point itself, is at the human soul, and its eagerness for new experiences seeks embodiment. This is growth through pain because Saturn's trine the Chiron point. But it gives us the advantage because Saturn rules the archons in astrology, and this Sabian symbol speaks to humanity, and it's outreaching. Mm-hmm. Chiron at 1 Aries, again, that Sabian symbol is a woman has risen out of the ocean, a seal is embracing her. That's the 1st degree of the zodiac. It's the first Sabian symbol. It's called the Aries point, again, 1 degree of Aries. I believe Sophia is going to speak, Sophia is going to begin, and Sophia is going to heal. That's the voice that we're going to hear. Maybe we'll talk more about that another time. Definitely. Uranus. Okay, Uranus is transiting that Chiron point. It's still at steps up to a lawn blooming with clover, which helps us continue our rise to get the peak there. Neptune. In a quiet moment, a creative individual experiences the flow of information. So remember I talked about how Neptune is in prominence at the new moon, and it's going to help us show direction. It will show us the direction. It'll add to that. And it's going to add to the Sabian symbol for this year of through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. Remember, that was the Sabian symbol for the Aries new moon, which sets the tone for the whole year. It's the one we work off of all year long. So we are, this month, again, all of this influx from spirit, from higher galactic forces, influx, this infusion and this infusion leads to this inspiration, which leads to our imagination expanding out of bounds to enable us to see things. Mm-hmm. Well, star with the light, right, and multiplying them into abundance. It's fabulous aspects. Definitely. Pluto is at a child of about 5 carrying a huge shopping bag filled with groceries. Child trafficking and the burden on the inner child, the burden of learning about all of this stuff, what that places on our own inner child. It's funny because for years and years in all my study of the Sabian symbols, in my mind, I always pictured the child going upstairs, flights of stairs. But that was what my mind had put into that Sabian symbol. There's nothing about that the child is going upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I wrote it this time, I realized when I was, going over these symbols for the month, I realized that I was looking at it that way. It's so interesting how they change and how our minds add in things that weren't there.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you see it a different way, then what does it mean for you?
It's funny because that symbol, every time I see it, I see two images, and they're kind of smashed together. The first image was from my wedding day. Our daughter, Christina, had picked up a large gift from someone, and she was only about 8 at the time, but she was very petite. She picked it up, and it surprised her. It made her move backwards, almost falling over. But we had it on video, and she kind of turned around and was twisting around in circles, almost falling over. And I always kind of throw it together with the Disney version of Alice in Wonderland when Alice falls on her butt. And I always just kind of see it together, and then I hear that symbol, and I'm like, okay, there's Christina Alice falling.
Oh, how interesting, yes. So, and this is at 19 Capricorn, where Pluto has been retrograding back and forth over all of this energetic of the British, a new flag flies from a British warship. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
That is all what's in with this, which doesn't sound like it ties in, but when you're talking about Alice in Wonderland, we know that how much that's a part of MK Ultra.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's just like, we just peripherally have, that's how the Sabian symbols work. Because it's specific to you,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, continuing on. Remember that I said that at the new moon, the south node, which is the past, and the black moon, which is shadow and rebirth, are conjunct at 4 Aquarius. And that Sabian symbol is a Hindu healer. But we don't have one Hindu healer. We have 2 basically Hindu healers. The Mahavidyas predate Hinduism. Okay, but so the Mahavidyas will dominate that energetic of the black moon with the Sabian symbol. And so all of this, so much blowback and karma for deeds done against people are going to come back to them this cycle. It's just like a cannon. Remember, Shadashi operates like a drum. She's a drummer, and her the way she works is like cannon fire, booms one after another. The North Node, which is always opposite the South Node, which represents the future and destiny, that's for Leo, and a man formally dressed stands near trophies he brought back from a hunting expedition. This, to me, is another indication humanity wins, archons lose. Trophies, bringing back the trophies, bringing back the gold of the soul. That's what we're doing. I believe that there's all the energetics here. This is, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. It's not really something I ever do, but there's a potential here for a female suicide bomber in some kind of bus or a boat or ship or something like this. And New York is highlighted in this, New York City particularly. I'm not saying that, that's not a prediction necessarily. It's just saying this is a setup for this sort of thing. If that's kind of what we see, it's just complete data.
Yeah.
Okay, so the storm is this month. The storm, because next month is after a storm. The storm will probably continue into next month too, because we can still have storms.
We've had all of this stuff so far, and more storm is coming.
Yeah, but remember I said these 2 months were going to be the most challenging, and then once we get past this is, this is going to be the time. So with all this Venus, Chiron, Uranus, Chiron point action with Jupiter with the new moon, this is financial. This would be the time when we could see some kind of move that on the stock market, some kind of false flag on the stock market, some kind of economic attack. Chiron is just as much about money as it is about wounding and healing and teaching. It's definitely 2 parts to that. And I tend to focus more on the healing and teaching because that's just my bend as opposed to the financial. But I please don't forget that when I mention the Chiron point. Now, Trumpy, let's go look at Trump.
Okay, Mr. Trump.
And
I will say I've fielded a couple questions about my feelings of Trump, your feelings of Trump, and what people are thinking from people on Facebook in the Oracle report section. I don't know that. I think a lot of the people may not understand it and haven't quite woken up to it. Of course, they also probably might be Hillary supporters, haven't quite figured it out. So as I explained to people many times, I can't say that I was necessarily a Trump supporter. I'm libertarian, and he's not. That being said, he's doing things that are frighteningly positive. And as we have said over the past 2 years, he represents change and an end to the cabal control of our government and of our lives. And those were the things that I was kind of pointing out. But wanted you to know that was being discussed a lot on Facebook.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting how that's still such a question. It is my opinion. I'm libertarian and but practical about things as well. But it is my belief, based on the astrology, that Trump is working. The higher forces are working through Trump to accomplish what they want accomplished, and probably it was never going to be a bright, stand-up shining star like Ron Paul who could do this. It was going to be a fighter.
Oh yeah.
Just pretty much someone who could go and who was outside of their financial control. So I'm kind of like with it now. We look at with everything. We look at the fruits. We look at the fruits of what someone accomplished.
I keep looking at it, and it's like, hey, if if any person in the world was going to sit across a table from Kim Jong-un and bring him to bear, Trump did it.
Or Xi Jinping, because let's talk about China, because this is all over Trump's natal chart. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now he has his moon. The Sabian symbol for his moon is a Chinese laundry. His Earth is immigrants entering a new country. His Uranus is 2 Chinese men speaking Chinese in a Western crowd. His North Node is a labor demonstration. His South Node is a child and a dog with borrowed eyeglasses. And his sun is 3 fledglings in a nest high in a tree, and his black moon is a wise old owl in a tree. And he's also got the big businessman at the desk somewhere in there, I believe. Okay, so he was destined to be the one who could face the setup of the New World Order of the U.S. against China. He was born for that. His Sabian symbols clearly attest.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is the greatest threat we really have. Because that's China is really just the operating country or the operating arm of the New World Order. It's Kissinger, Rothschild completely controlled.
Oh yeah.
So at the new moon is going to square all of those planets that I just read to those Sabian symbols. Okay, but also that also the Earth and Neptune in conjunction are also going to square all of his planets. So no question about it. There is no question about, in my mind, based on the astrology and just from watching, he's surviving attempts at assassination daily.
I believe so.
Daily.
Yeah.
And it isn't, and they just can't get it. They can't make it happen. There was, if you were following the Thomas Paine at True Pundit, when he basically disclosed his identity and his background, and the fact that Trump Trump and basically all of the other billionaires have their own intelligence teams, but they can never beat Trump's intelligence team. They did not understand how his could beat at them every time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
There's one reason for that, in my opinion. It's because he's supposed to be the one to do it. He's the one that's supposed to represent as best possible chance we have, and that we are doing. You know, that Mahavedi has also always said would happen, to rectify, to reset, to reform everything. So this is a key month for Trump, and like I said, we should watch what he says around the time of the new moon, because it's going to signal where this is going to go and how fast things are going to go, because they're going to go fast with Venus in opposition to Uranus at the new moon. Let's go through just some notable dates that we want to kind of know about. So like I said, we're going to be coming in hot from the Leo cycle, and the next few days are going to be just a lot of information is going to come to us. A lot of things are going to happen, fire us up. It's a black moon days, so people are projecting their core fears, their feelings about themselves. People tend to project onto others. Mm-hmm. Those with the sun, the black moon, or Chiron in Aquarius or Leo are feeling this the most. And on September 10th and 11th, so basically on September 10th and 11th, we have Mars re-entering Aquarius after being retrograde for all that time. So now Mars is going to rejoin the black moon in Aquarius. So this is going to be a palpable change. Okay, we're building there, and it's going to be like, wow, okay. Because when the black moon and Mars get together, a lot of anger comes out. People mouth off. They become aggressive. Anger issues about just road rage, things like that. But also an amplification of energy, because Uranus rules electricity, electrical energy, and currents. So there'll be an amplification of just energy in general. You might feel like, whoa, like your body just got shocked or like hit by lightning, because that's what it does. And then that amplification there with Mars. So there's some strangeness about it when we deal with Aquarius, because it's just like, whoa, what was that? It's new. Aquarius is always like brand new inventions and things that are sometimes eccentric, but just so very brilliant. So there's an electrical charge in the air, and we want to make sure we are charging our mindset with a positive charge. Okay, so basically understand that new moon on the 9th, and then on the 10th and 11th, we have Mars going into Aquarius. Okay, so that's a lot of attenuation happening. And then on the 12th, on September 12th, we have the exact opposition of Venus and Uranus. That's accidents, surprises, shocks. Remember, that's that Chiron point energy of wounding and healing. We have until September 16th with that strong Chiron energy about the finances. So basically from the new moon until September 16th is when we want to be watching the markets, and if there's, which they easily could just, pull some move with that. That's so within this purview of possibilities. Mm-hmm. On September 19th, the moon's going to move into Aquarius, and it will conjunct Mars and the South Node and the Black Moon. That's a really big, big day. Anger, aggression, war-type stuff, and the projection of shadows. So you want to plan. September 20th, Mercury will conjunct the Sun at 28 Virgo, which is a bald-headed man who has seized power. So that's going to be mouthy. Who's the most mouthy? And we want to make sure what we say. We want to make sure we're thinking twice. On the 22nd, September 22nd, around 10 p.m., the Sun will move into Libra. And we'll also then begin opposing Chiron at the Aries point. So again, at the Aries point. Okay, so we have Chiron again. Wounded healer and teacher. The sun, when it gets there, it amplifies everything, brings light. It focuses, and it's an opposition. So it's like blows it out of proportion there. Mm-hmm. And it could be very, very sad. That's equinox time. And, we could be feeling something could be rather upsetting. Between the 28th to October 1st, that's when the Mars will make exact conjunction with the black moon, and that happens at 2 different degrees. They're going to make conjunction at 2 degrees. A masked performer in a mystery play, so unmasking, and a child born out of an eggshell. Those are the 2 Sabian symbols in effect for that. We'll just see what happens there. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to go into the prep time for the Venus retrograde. And the Venus retrograde is a whole topic unto itself because, as I said before, I believe it to be the most powerful of any retrograde, of any planet's retrograde. And what it does in very noticeable ways, that in changes in relationships, in our value system, in financial status, in what we hold as important and what we appreciate. All of this comes into effect. It's designed to fix problems. It's designed to reset things and back to our values. And remember, Shadashi is always on duty, and her job is, when she's on duty, to align us with our highest and best, and that's what Venus is doing. Mm-hmm. And it should add energy to the inspiration elements of through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. Okay. On October 5th at 3:05 p.m. is when Venus is going to station retrograde. It stations retrograde at 11 Scorpio. A drowning man is being rescued. Okay, and then on October 8th and 9th overnight, we have the new moon in Libra. And then on the 10th and 11th, we have the Venus retrograde in square to Mars. Venus is at a drowning man being rescued. Mars will be at during a silent hour. A man receives a new inspiration which may change his life. This tells us that the Venus retrograde time is going to rescue us, give us from whatever we need, pull us out of maybe some black holes we may be in, bring us out of our isolation or just solitary world of feeling disconnected and sad about the way the world appears to be. Well, the way the world is and how those dark things are falling out. And then, so... I
just hear your cat speaking.
Yeah, he's so funny. But it's things which may change our life. And remember, this whole year, through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. So this month and leading into the Libra cycle, we have, this is where we're going. We're headed to that Venus retrograde.
How long is Venus retrograde?
It's the retrograde for like 40 days, I believe, 40 or so days.
Pushing
it's like the
months.
Middle. Yeah, it goes direct in the middle of November. So it's October 5th. I'll get that for everybody. I think it's like November 16th or 17th is when it goes direct. But these, if you've been around if you followed Venus retrograde before, if that degree is prominent in your chart, 11 Scorpio, if you have a square to that or a trine or opposition, this degree was activated by the Mars retrograde. So Venus is now doing the second part of that. But Venus retrograde is a big deal. It does massive things. And because Venus is going to be opposite Uranus at the new moon, it's already ready to do things that or put us in places where we need to be. that places we haven't been able to get to on our own.
Mm-hmm.
Uranus does that for us. So this is the perfect setup for this Venus retrograde, and I think it's just really awesome to know that those symbols are in effect. That's what it's going to do when whatever degrees they go, it goes retrograde at. And then if you have a planet that aspects that, within that couple days, it's just adding its influence. So relationships are going to undergo a tremendous amount of change, and it will be for the better. We just have to roll with these changes, which is a very hard thing to do, and it's the hardest thing to do when the black moon is in Leo or Aquarius. Black moon's in Aquarius right now. That deals with the fear of powerlessness and the fear of change. So those are the things that are driving each of the black moon days through the beginning of May. And so any time that moon goes into Leo or Aquarius, and remember those dates, I should add, I posted that list of dates on the homepage of oraclereport.com. There's a button at the top that you can just click there and see when the days are.
Okay. Just
remember that's when people's shadow sides are going to be coming out, even if they're not having a particular transit of the black moon in their chart. It's an effect for everybody to some degree. And so when those days happen, it's September 6th through the 8th right now, what we're in, but until the new moon, bringing out all that, things ugly things maybe about ourselves that we don't want to see, or places we got hurt. So the thing about that, we're in balsamic phase, and so to prepare for the best way we can for the new cycle, the new Virgo cycle, is to purge and release during balsamic, and open up to the new that's incoming, to change your perspective and to give you wisdom and direction. It's not two girls playing with a Ouija board. That really all that's about is trying to gain information and being a novice and feeling disempowered to receive that information on your own and needing an intermediary. Okay, that's all the symbol is about. But it does mean that, it is occult, which means that the Illuminati will be active this month. So it's just a delicious little time for them. But that's okay, because this is the hack to that. Okay, they show they will always draw to the negative end of the astrology, and now we see it doesn't really work that way anymore. It kind of works a different way. So 12 star, the abundance, the multiplication, the retrospection, and the networking. I'm not gonna, just pretend. I'm not ever Pollyanna, and I'm not gonna pretend that this is not gonna be a month where equilibrium will be required. It is. But we are prepared for this, and we can do this, and we know where it's going. So that is that. That's really what I have to say at this point.
Oh, I think that's a fantastic rundown of it, especially considering just so much crazy stuff is happening. As we saw at the beginning of the call, it's already in effect, and things are happening right now, and it's just going to get more. So I thank you for talking today, and we'll post this up and get everybody else ready and prepare for the next month's worth of time, because we got a lot going on.
Yes, we will, and I'll be back popping in to just keep the update and see how the month goes.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much, Laura, and for everybody listening, thank you for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.